Welcome to the Disney Parks Podcast with your hosts, Tony Casanova from DisneyByTheNumbers.com and Krista Joy from DisneyWays.com. Keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast at all times. And get ready for the Disney Parks Podcast.
Hi, this is Disney Master Artist KevinJohns, and you're listening to the Disney Parks Podcast.
With a client list that boasts more than 350 of the top athletes and teams of our time, such as Hines Ward, Smoke and Joe Frazier, and the Roberto Clemente family, and many, many more, our guest today is the one that today's athletes and their teams look to when they desire the highest quality action portraiture. His art has been showcased at major sporting events throughout the country, as well as on ESPN, NBC, Spike TV, all kinds of places. And also, he's the official artist for Leaf Trading Cards and Beckett Media. Now, we also want to share that he's celebrating his silver anniversary. He's actually celebrated that back in 2012, and he has shown a deep dedication to countless charitable concerns, as his art has helped to raise more than $500,000 for deserving causes over the past 25 years. And now he's currently under contract with the Walt Disney Company to create theme park exclusive art for the Walt Disney World Art Galleries. We're so delighted to have him with us today, Disney Master Artist and more, KevinJohns. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Krista, Tony. Thank you. This has been a long-anticipated interview. We've been talking about it for months, trying to get this thing together, and I am thrilled to be on the podcast today.
Oh, we're so thrilled to have you. Thanks for coming on. We have so much fascinating stuff to dive into with you today. Tony, can you just kick us off with our first question for Kev?
Sure. So, Kevin, we know a little bit about your background because we had the pleasure of hearing you speak about it at a Disneyana meeting. But really, how did you get started? Share with our listeners how you got started into the painting and your art.
Well, it is so a part of who I've always been. As long as I can remember, I was grabbing crayons and pencils and markers and illustrating things that I loved. When I was a little kid, it was dinosaurs and Batman and Star Wars. And then when I got into high school, I really realized that this was a career path that I could pursue. And I concentrated very hard on that, really focused on that as trying to hone my talents, but also understand the business. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I was selling artwork in my community back home in Erie, Pennsylvania, pen and ink illustrations of local historical sites and points of interest, and that I kind of caught the bug right then and there for not only creating art that people would love to purchase and hang on their walls, but also I think I caught the bug of the business end of the thing as well. I really enjoy that part of what I do, not just the creation of the art. From there, I continued that as a main line for 4 or 5 years after I got out of high school, and then slowly transitioned to being commissioned by pro athletes and their teams to create action portraiture for them. And that was a kind of an octopus of product. I mean, there were so many different facets of that. Sometimes it was just a one-off original that an athlete would commission from me and hang in his rec room or somewhere in his home. Sometimes it was promotional pieces for teams that I would create a portrait of their fan favorite athlete, and then we would print those and the fans could collect them through the team, that sort of thing. And then it, of course, as time went on, got a contract with ESPN to create art on camera during major sporting events and things of that nature. And then we started doing work for major sports product companies like Leaf Trading Cards, like Beckett Sports Publications, and anywhere that there was a need for sports imagery that a photograph wouldn't serve. They really wanted fine art. I would go ahead and create that art and partner with that company to have them carry the KevinJohns brand. And so over the last 27 years, I've built the Kevin John brand to national prominence. I mean, especially in the sports realm, the Kevin John brand is very, very strong, and I'm very, very proud of that. And then here we are transitioning now to a separate a separate arm of my company, which is doing this fine art for Disney, which, you know, it's really a dream come true for me, and I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit. But I guess that's the long short answer to that question.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you call it a business, because I have a cousin who's kind of artsy. I'm not going to say she's an artist, because she used to tell me you're really not an artist until you can sell your art, So do you remember like the first, piece that you sold? I mean, when do you go from, you just drawing art to, that artist? Because that's, I guess, when it really becomes like a business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do remember it like it was yesterday. Very, I think first of all, you have to have a level of talent where, people will be willing to pay you money to do what you do. And then once you kind of reach that point, then you have to let people know that you create art and that you are open for commission. And if no one knows about your work, if no one sees your work, then no one's going to buy your work or commission a project from you. So the first piece that I did by commission was just about, I think it was November of my senior year in high school. And the school principal going to be retiring, and so the faculty commissioned a portrait of him from me. And then shortly thereafter, there was another faculty member that commissioned a private project from me, and then that private project led to me walking into a gallery that commissioned an entire series of artwork from me, and that's what I referenced in terms of creating these historical scenes and points of interest from my hometown, things like the lighthouse and that sort of thing. She saw this project and that I had been working on, and I took it in to get framed by her, and she said, I'd really love you to do this for me, and that's how that contract was born. It was, as I said, it was all before I graduated from high school. So, correct. I think you can be an artist and not sell work ever, because art is so just organic. It just comes out. What is art? Art is something created by one's hand or, whatever. However, I think when you start earning a paycheck being an artist, that's when you become a professional artist. And I draw a very hard line in the sand there. There's very few of us that are able to make a living at it, and make a living at it again, like myself, more than a quarter century now. Very few people that are able to do that, and I'm very lucky, but I work very, very hard.
Yeah, you've definitely earned your place, that's for sure. And going back, though, I was wondering about when you do art for yourself, Kev, when you sit down and just want to create something, can you just kind of take us through the process of how that works in your mind? Do you prefer drawing, sculpture? What do you do when you sit down and do something just for fun?
Well, and this is going to sound crazy, but Krista, I probably haven't done that in 20 years.
You haven't had time, huh?
I cannot tell you the last time I have created anything for myself. Or as just to sit there and like you say, have fun. The way that it works is if my hand is moving across canvas or paper, it needs to be earning. It needs to be making money. So because I have such a workload of projects, and because I am the only one that can create that art, I can't subcontract. That if I'm using that energy to draw, it has to be I have to be working on the projects that have been commissioned. Now, that being said, there have been projects that I have done over the last 27 years that I've really loved, that I've really gotten behind, emotionally, and have really enjoyed them. Some of the sports pieces that I've done. I mean, there are some athletes that I've been able to work with where it was a thrill. Others were, they were, all wonderful to work with, but the project was okay. Yeah, I'm drawing, some, AA baseball player from, X, Y, and Z, minor league baseball team. Okay, it's a paycheck. And then I get to do a portrait for Smokin' Joe Frazier or Tom Brady. I mean, come on.
Right.
that takes me into the stratosphere,
Yeah.
The Disney work is something that is just a thrill a minute for me, because Disney and every part of Disney, not just the parks, but Disney the man, has been a role model for me since I can remember. And I've loved the films and I've loved the parks for so long that to create artwork for Walt's company is a thrill a minute. I'm being more creative now than I've ever been, and Disney really opens the door for that creativity too. And then I've worked on some special projects, like an ongoing series that I'm doing right now is a classic horror film series. So I'm rendering, portraits of Michael Myers and from the Halloween movies and things like that. And I love horror films, so that's another passionate project for me. They're not all like that. Some are just, like I said, they're just paychecks. You do the work, you do it, KevinJohns style, and you get paid for it, and you move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's so good to hear that you're a Disney fan. That's some of our favorite guests on the show. You can tell when they're true Disney fans, and I don't know, that's always great to hear, don't you think, Tony?
Definitely. You can definitely hear the passion in people's voices. Yeah.
Well, Walt, as I said, was such an enormous influence for me, and because Walt wasn't the most talented artist, and neither am I. I mean, I always say that. There are artists out there that are wildly more talented than I, but few that work as hard as me, and few that market the way that I do. My stuff is good enough, but I also have those other components that, like Walt did, that push my stuff over the top. And Walt was a huge influence to me that way. He was an amazing businessman. People put the labels on him. Oh, Walt was the dreamer, and Walt knew what people would buy. Walt knew how to pry $1 away from someone's hand and give them something great in return. When you study that part of that guy, it's an amazing thing. And the other thing, Walt failed. Walt fell on his face over and over again. I mean, huge failures. And the guy never gave up. And for every win that I've had dozens of failures. And that's just the way that life is, and big ones, huge setbacks. You hear no so much more than you hear yes. And if you're strong, you learn to embrace those no's, and you learn to embrace those huge failures and help them to make you a better whatever you're to be.
Yeah. Well, you've named a lot already. I was wondering, what is your favorite part about creating original art for Disney that you haven't already mentioned? I know there's a lot.
It is it's the biggest playground in the world, and I get to capture all of those favorite icons and render them in KevinJohns style, and let people take those home and hang them on their walls and enjoy it. I live here in Florida now. I live out on the Barrier Island on the east coast of Florida. Live right on the beach, and I absolutely love it. So I'm an hour away from Walt Disney World now. But 2 years ago, I was still living up north, and I would travel down to Walt Disney World to visit and vacation, once or twice a year. And those times in between, especially before the internet, were dark times. You collect the little, souvenirs and things to take home, and but you say, boy, I really love the Haunted Mansion, and I'd love to have, something from the Haunted Mansion to take with me. But at that time, there was very little Haunted Mansion memorabilia. Or what about that, what about that mill over on Tom Sawyer Island, I love sitting there and looking at that and watching the mill spin around, the water come up. Boy, wouldn't it be great to have something of that other than a photograph to take home and to look at or to enjoy somehow? And there wasn't. Well, Disney's direction to me is, there's the parks, Kev. Go ahead and render whatever you want. And so it's a wide open canvas for me to go through the different parks and the attractions and the things that we all love and just start making a list. I mean, I will be doing this now for the rest of my life. I mean, the next 25 or 30 years, I'll be rendering pieces of the Disney parks that we love. And I mean, wait till you hear some of the stuff I've got in store that have already been approved and have been given the green light from Disney, and we can talk about those a little bit later on, some of the really cool stuff coming up. And it's real unique things that that you haven't seen before in the Disney park. So that's what I love most, is giving people something to take home that they haven't been able to take home before, and then heck, the whole experience of me being able to create it. I mean, again, these are the things that I absolutely love. So it's, there's your.
I agree, because Krista's been to my house. There's a lot of art on my walls, because it is the one thing that is fairly inexpensive that you can take home from Disney, hang up, and go and just stare at that, and then that reminds you of one of the favorite places you like, whether it's an attraction or a character or something like that. Art is a fantastic thing. It's probably the single most thing I buy at the parks is different sizes from 5x7s to 11x14s, whatever they are.
It's a tremendous investment as well. When you're buying, especially a piece of Disney art, you're buying something that's a limited edition, something that's done by only the best artists in the world. I mean, it's not like Disney has 100 of us creating these pieces of art. I mean, there are very few of us that create this art for Disney, and we're handpicked. We're the best of the best, and I'm not tooting a horn here. I mean, that's just a fact. Every artist, wants to work for Disney, but very few have the opportunity to do this. So you're getting a piece of art that is limited, that is done by one of the top artists in the country, and in a unique style. And it's a great investment. You're not ever gonna lose money, by investing in a piece of either original art or a limited edition of Disney art. Where if you spend that money on a couple of T-shirts and a sweatshirt, eventually you're going to be buffing your car with them. And those are great things, and we all have the Disney tees and everything. But when as you just said, when you want to bring home a really good collectible, something to remember the parks, I go directly to the art.
Yeah. I know you spoke about this a little bit when you were doing your Disneyana thing, but when you get a concept of, hey, I'm going to draw this, do you sketch it on paper? Is it pen and pencil, paper? Is it crayons? How do you start that process, Kevin, to create that thing?
I really just grab a sketchbook and start laying down the very, very rough concept in pencil, and I really prefer ballpoint pen. I lay that down, again, as a very, very rough, loose sketch, and then I scan that and send that over to Disney, and they take a look at it, and then they say, yeah, we like this idea, go ahead and move forward to the next step. And then that next step then is to produce a tighter concept sketch where dimension is taken into consideration, and character detail, whatever I'm rendering. If I'm rendering a drawing of one of the longhouses at the Polynesian resort, then everything has to be in scale and coloring and that sort of thing. Sometimes there's little touches of color in there to just kind of give them an idea of the flavor of what this final piece of art's going to look like. And then I send that over, and then that's reviewed. And then there's a critique that goes back and forth, which, I really love. For, 25 years, I haven't had much of a critique on my process. I work for myself, and the clients are fairly happy with, I think with what I've delivered to them. However, with Disney, there's a little bit of a critique process that goes along with it, and I really enjoy that because it pushes me to become even better. There are things that I don't see with my eye that, maybe these other advisors will see, and they'll correct this and ask me to change this, or maybe it's a legal issue, maybe it's a drawing of characters on a roller coaster, and they have their hands up. Well, you can't put your hands up in a Disney park. They want you holding onto the rails, so they bring them, things like that. I just heard that story today about a project that another artist did. They had all the characters with their hands up going down the plume on Splash Mountain, and the entire piece had to be done over because, well, you can't do that in a Disney park. So legal gets involved, and everybody does, So it's very, very interesting.
So detailed.
Yeah. So then after that is approved, then we go to final art.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So who at Disney does the review? I imagine it's a long list of people. Is it like other artists? Is it merchandising? Is it legal? Is it, the parks? Is it character development people?
It's a board of several different entities, and from what I understand, it's not only artists, but it's people from the merch department, and from what I understand, legal as well. So it's a wide variety. The reviews are done every Friday. So when we submit the projects, then those go, they have to be submitted Friday, and then we'll get the notes back on those reviews on any changes or approvals.
Yeah, interesting. Great.
Cool. And then can you talk to us about your first print release and signing that's set for June 28th at Epcot, and how that all came to be and what it is, all that good stuff?
Yes, I'm very excited about this. There were two initial directions, again, that Disney had given me, and with two big dates circled on the paper, on the calendar, so to speak. One was the 45th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion, which is happening later on this summer in August. And then the other was Epcot celebrating always their food and wine and their flower and garden festivals. And I think we all agreed that there was a little bit of a gap there where Epcot was represented in visual art, and also Epcot's, I guess, unofficial mascot is not represented too often in artwork, and that being Figment, the purple little dragon. So I kind of put a concept together. I wanted to create a piece called Flowers and Figment, and I really wanted it to kind of look like this quintessential, iconic look at Epcot, the monorail, Spaceship Earth, a flower bed, and Figment somewhere floating above this flower bed. So I started to work on those concepts, and we really refined one down to what they loved and I loved, and I put that to final art. And that will premiere on June 28th, as you said. It's a great, great piece, I think. My first piece that goes to reproduction. I just color-proofed the reproductions today, so that goes to print. That will be both a signed and numbered limited edition, a very small edition. Only 95 prints will be produced in the 16 by 20 inch limited edition signed and numbered format, and then there'll be some small 11 by 14s produced. But it is, as I said, Figment floating over this beautiful bed of plumeria flowers. And in the distance, you see the monorail red. And then further off in the distance, you see Spaceship Earth and the beautiful trees and palm trees and this big blue sky. And it's a really, really cool, fun piece. And
it is. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Thank you. That is the first piece that goes to print. My first actual piece for Disney was the Hatbox Ghost, a huge portrait of the Hatbox Ghost, and that was done in advance of the 45th anniversary, and that should go to print and be ready for sale for the 45th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion. August 9th. So that's
and that
exciting.
one's.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I was
Kristen.
I was going to say that one's beautiful too. We were actually in downtown Disney last night, Tony and I and some friends, and he spotted your art. He was like, "Hey, I saw Kevin's art in the window at the stores. It's just gorgeous. Everybody needs to go check it out if you're going to be in the area. And also, just remember June 28th from 1 to 3, he's going to be at the Art of Disney. If you want to come and meet him and have him sign some artwork for you, we just want you to mark that down in case you're going to be in the area. So sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. No, and really, I am so excited to meet all of the new Disney Kevin John fans that are out there. We've got a nice wave of people that are following me on Facebook and everything, and new people that I'm meeting, from this new genre of art that I'm doing, and it's been wonderful to meet those people online, and now I'm very excited to meet them all at the signing. Because the series is such a limited series, it becomes available that day, and I expect it to sell out right away. So you need to get there or get somebody there that can make this purchase for you. And any of the pieces that are sold there that day, I am going to also do what's called a penciled remark on the print, which will be a small little extra pencil drawing done right on the print, a little original of Figment. And those are only going to be done for the people that come that day to purchase that artwork during the show. And it just added value. But we'll be doing autograph signings and stuff like that for the whole afternoon. And just come out and say hello and check out the art and tell me what you think, and tell me if you think it's lousy or tell me if you think it's good, and buy some stuff and take it home and hang it on your walls, man,
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. And then also I was reading that you're going to be at the Villages. You mentioned this a little bit for a Mickey Fanatics Club event on August 28th.
Yeah.
And this one is like a Haunted Mansion themed event, right? And so do you want to tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing at that event?
Yeah, this is going to be a really cool thing. Again, Villages, August 28th, and it's kind of all being polished up right now, but we're going to do a Haunted Mansion themed event. There's going to be some special surprises there in terms of my artwork, whether I create a piece live on location, something like that. We'll see. I'll be doing a little bit of a talk as well in terms of the work that I do for Disney and the work that I've done, over the last 27 years. And that it follows directly after the 45th anniversary celebration for the Haunted Mansion in August. So my Hatbox Ghost piece will be released by then as a print. And then also, if you want some dirt or some inside scoop, I am currently working on another piece for that celebration. It is the gravedigger caretaker from the graveyard in the Haunted Mansion, the guy that stands there with the lantern and the shovel. I am working on my own KevinJohns style version of that guy, and that will be a print released for that Haunted Mansion celebration as well. I'm working on that right now, and if later on, if people link up to me with Facebook, they can actually watch this art being created. I always do uploads and things like that. And then there's one more that I think we'll save and talk about for another time. But that happens in October, and it's going to be really, really cool. Probably the coolest project that I'll ever be involved with Disney happens in October. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, I think you have hit the hot spot, because the Haunted Mansion is everybody's favorite attraction in any park, Disneyland, Disney World, and you have two hits on your hand, because the Hatbox Ghost and the Gravedigger are both going to be very popular items.
I hope so.
I know so.
I remember the first time that I ever came across anything Haunted Mansion was in a little record book and record. I picked up it, or my parents bought it at a store back in 1972 or 73, and you take the record out and you listen to it, and it tells a story, and you look through this book, and it's got little drawings in it, and these are all Mark Davis inspired artwork now in this book that I know this now. And I just remember just being fascinated by this, and on the one page, there's the bride, and then the next page over is the Hatbox Ghost. And, of course, this was all produced before the ride was even in place in any of the parks. It was used as a promotional item. So the Hatbox Ghost was still included in this book. And more than any other image in that book, the image of that guy stuck with me. And I don't know why. It was just so ghoulish and creepy and different. And Mark Davis just did such an amazing job rendering that concept sketch of the kind of a cartoon version of what this guy was supposed to look like. And it always just resonated with me for some reason on a creepy level. And I've always loved Halloween and the Haunted Mansion, and that's my favorite time of year is the spooking time. And it just really spoke to me. So when I signed my contract with Disney, I mean, listen, there was no way anybody was going to tell me that my first piece for Disney was not going to be the Hatbox Ghost. And it's a very highly detailed version of the original audio animatronic that was in Disneyland's version of the Haunted Mansion. I mean, the articulation in the hands and the detail, the stippling and everything in the skull we're talking 250 hours worth of work on this original. And when you see it in person, it's, I think it's a real delight for the eye, and people that are Mansion fans are just, once this piece gets printed and is released, I mean, you can buy the original now if you want to pony up $5,000. The reproductions, the prints will be a lot less than that, and once those hit the market, they're gonna sell out immediately. I cannot wait. I can't wait to do that signing. That's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, I know. When we had met at that Disneyana meeting, I couldn't believe what you had brought to that meeting. I couldn't believe the details in that, and then I had to go look at the original in the store, and I was like, there is a lot of detail in that. I mean, the background even. You took a lot of time and effort to draw that, that haunted mansion background kind of stuff.
Thank you.
It's very detailed, and just don't walk past it if you see it in the store. Really stop and take the time to look at it, because there are things in there in the details that you won't get probably from the reproduction. Will be great, but the original is really fascinating to look at.
Thank you. Well, I'm not. Detail has always been my strong. My strengths with my artwork. I'm colorblind, and so I can't see all of the colors that I paint. So my color work, my painting isn't always the best, and it's not. That's why I always say that there's more talented painters out there than me, because there's men and women out there that can mix color and paint with color that just blows your mind. And I'm good. I'm just not at that level because I can't see a lot of what's going on. However, I can wow you with that detail, and I can get crazy stupid with the amount of detail that I put in a piece, and there's not a lot of people that can do that. There's a lot of good painters out there, and there's good character artists, people that can paint Simba and Mickey Mouse and things like that and paint the characters, but the thing that they can't do is replicate realism like I can. And that's what I really bring to this Disney product, is the replication of realism, and I think that's what attracted Disney to my art.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, not only are you this, story of courage and, you just didn't give up, you kept going, in addition to everything else, to know that you're a colorblind artist and you've been this successful, it's just mind-blowing to me. Can you tell people a little bit about that process, and how do you learn to be an artist of your caliber of talent when you can't see color?
Well, for the first 15 years, I really didn't do a lot of color work. All of my work was rendered in black and white. Very, 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 very highly detailed, highly accurate black and white rendering. So it had a real classic look to it. It had, kind of a black and white photograph look to it. Again, because I was weak with color, what I decided to do was really concentrate on where my strength was, and that was accuracy in human form and being able to render life like other people can't. people create portraits and you look at them and they're, whoa, that kind of looks like that guy, but I really don't know. My portraits are nails on because that's what I had to concentrate on. I had to concentrate on the act. When I got the contract with ESPN, they said, yeah, we want you to do this work on camera and everything, and we think it would be wonderful to use it for ins and outs, and at sporting events you'd be on the sidelines, you'd be creating this art, we'll show it on camera and everything, but yeah, we need you to do it in color though. So now you give yourself a crash course real quick in how to paint and how to work with color, and you just, you muscle through. I'm the type of guy where, I've always just muscled through. I've just made it happen. There's been a lot of, it certainly was not at a world-class level 20 years ago, 15 years ago. That has come really the last 10 years, 10 to 8, maybe the last 8 years, my color work has become what I would consider world class, rather, worthy to be put on a Disney stage. Before that, it was very remedial, but I still had the strength of the realism, the accuracy that would carry the pieces, and then they were color spotted and things like that. So it's a lot of understanding what red looks like, and you grab a tube that says red on it, and you start painting with that. And that's initially how it began, where you compare your swatch of paint to the photograph that you're rendering from, and it kind of started like that. So it was a lot of limping along in the beginning, and I'm talking for the first 7 years of painting, of trying to make that transition to color. It's, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of practicing on side projects before really rolling it out there as one of my mainline products that I could sell. And now I'm learning that, for instance, the greens in the Figment piece, I didn't use one tube of green paint. I've learned that if you mix, cadmium red and cadmium yellow and ultramarine blue, you can come up with these wonderful purples, which eventually, the more yellows you add, become greens, and it's really amazing. And my eye is adapting to that. Now, there's a lot of times where I fall short. Well, I'll mix something, I'll say to my assistant, "Hey, does this look fuchsia?" Yeah, no, that's black. Oh, so you use what's around you too, and I asked some help with identifying what this looks like and how close does this look to what it should, and extra sets of eyes always help. That definitely helps if I have that availability. But it's just. I've never, you want to talk about, I'm colorblind. I also have rheumatoid arthritis. I've had severe RA since I've been 23 years old. So it's something I never ever talk about. Like, I don't think I've ever really talked about it publicly very much at all. It almost took my entire career away from me back in the mid 90s. So you want to talk about just overcoming stuff.
Wow.
I just, this is what I was born to do. I was born to create art and sell my stuff. I mean, this is how I make a living. So you figure out a way to work around your deficiencies. I just, I don't, rather than sit around and come up with excuses to why I shouldn't or why I can't, and, this didn't happen because of this. What the heck with that? I figure out a way to do it and beat people. Win. You know what I mean? Win.
Yeah, I love that.
So, we've had some other, wannabe Disney artists, people that, are artists, they draw some great stuff, but they can't break that barrier of getting their stuff to Disney. So, what advice would you have for those people, Kevin, to, if they want to be, a Disney artist, I'm using my air quotes, how do they get in? What's the secret key?
Well,
what's the password?
I think first of all, the last thing you should be doing would be painting Disney art. I get this all the time too, especially now with the Disney stuff, but even with the sports art that I did for so many years and continue to do. I'll have artists send me, JPEGs of their work, and drawings of now it's all Disney stuff, because I'm doing some work for Disney. And, I'm like, well, first of all, you understand that that's copyright infringement. They own those images. You don't. So you're stealing, first of all. So that right there is probably not going to get you a job with Disney. If you're already stealing out of the cookie jar, they're not going to hire you. I didn't have one piece of Disney art in all of my portfolio. They saw my sports art and they contacted me that way because of the realism. I also, the other thing that I think that I will stress is, you need to build your own brand. I spent 25 years building the Kevin John brand before Disney gave me a phone call. Now, I never submitted to Disney either. In a weird twist of fate, this all happened. But, concentrate on creating your own art, building your own brand. If there are enough people out there buying your artwork that you create that's not Disney art, that's not, copies of what other artists are doing, then some company, whether it's Disney or Leaf Trading Cards or Beckett Media or whomever, they're going to take notice because they're in the business to make money. And if there's an artist out there that's selling work like mad and they hear the name and they see the name out there, they're going to contact that artist because they want that artist to help them make money. That's why they brought me on board. I've made myself money, and I have, thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the country that have collected my artwork for a quarter century. So concentrate on doing your own thing, building your own brand, understanding the business of art, not just being an artist and copying what other artists have already done. That's why I don't prefer to do the character art end of the thing for the Disney company. There's enough character artists. Every now and then I'm going to have to because that's what Disney wants. If Disney calls me and says, we really want a Figment piece, you're going to draw friggin' Figment. But, you're going to do it. However, with my direction with Disney, like I said, the Caretaker piece is a character completely of my own creation based on, what you see in the mansion. I think those are the really big things for me is, develop yourself as an artist, as an individual artist, and develop your brand and get people to buy your stuff. And once you get to there, then you've got something behind you. Everybody wants you hear it today. I have a good friend that I went to high school with, and he is the lead singer of the band Train, Pat Monahan, an incredibly talented kid. A lot like me, we just always, he was writing music and singing music, and I was scribbling and creating art in class when we should have been doing our work, but we both had this incredible drive to create our respective arts on a professional level, and that was all we ever wanted to do. And both me and him, I just heard him talk not too long ago, and he says he has musicians coming up to him all the time saying, "Hey, how do I become famous?" And the same thing with me. It's not, "Hey, Kev, will you take a look at this art and tell me what I'm doing wrong? Tell me how I can make it better." They want to know how do you do what I do? How do you become the world famous sports artist? How do I become a Disney artist? Hey, pump your brakes. Hone your craft first. Build your brand first. Learn how to sell art first, and then think about becoming famous. Then think about working for Disney. Then think about, having your art on a global stage. People want it too quick now. What they don't understand is, it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's this generation of the me and the immediate, gratification. But yeah. But I think you're right. I think you have to have a really good craft, and then you have to build the brand, and then I think the success will come. But I think you're right.
Yeah, like I said, these companies are in the money, they're in business to make money, and if they see a good product out there, and Kevin John being the product, they're going to use that product to earn money. And I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, when it all comes down to it, I love creating art, and it's wonderful, but it's my job. It's how I pay my bills, and it's how Disney pays their bills. You know, it's about creating something good enough that people will want to hang it on their walls and actually give you money for. And that's what it's all about. And, you know, you have, so your stuff has to be good first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, if we could switch gears a little bit here, Kevin, and talk more about Kevin, the Disney fan. Something we like to do with our guests is it's called a Oh My Disney quiz, and it's basically where we just ask you your opinions on things like, you know, different Disney things. What's your favorite song? That kind of stuff. Would be okay if we do that quiz with you really quick?
Oh yeah. Love it, yeah.
Okay. Tony, take it away.
All right. You can give one-word answers. You can give an answer and qualify it. You know, whatever makes it easy for you. You ready?
Yes, sir.
If you could hang out with any Disney character, who would it be?
Gaston. Hands down, Gaston. Coolest guy in the park.
I don't think we've gotten that one before.
Yeah, I think that's a new one.
That dude, I'm telling you, the dude is hilarious. The dude
You're
is hilarious. The guy, whoever the guy is friends with Gaston, is absolutely hilarious. And then he and I could go lift weights together and then go pick up chicks. So I Gaston, definitely. Best wingman in the park.
Well, he's got his own beer place now, so.
That's right, you know.
That doesn't serve beer.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever.
Gosh. Have you seen the new Gaston's Tavern in Disney World?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So he's carrying it, you know, in the fountain out front. You know, he's carrying like a barrel. Right. The original drawing for that, he was actually carrying a rifle.
Oh really?
Yeah, but they didn't think that would be appropriate to put in the park, so they switched it to a barrel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Just a little tidbit there.
Well, Disney trivia. I've never heard that.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 2. If you could ride only one Disneyland or Disney World ride for the rest of your life, what would you ride?
Easy. Haunted Mansion. Yeah.
Okay.
Hands down.
Your favorite Disney song is?
Did you say that my favorite Disney song?
Yes.
Ooh, wow. Give me a second to think about that.
You want to pass? You can pass and go to the next one.
Well, you know, there's, you know what?
It could be from an attraction.
I'm loving the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, where the song that Brom Bones sings about the headless horseman in that film. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, good one. Your favorite Disney movie?
Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
If you could be a Disney character from your favorite Disney movie, who would you be?
Gaston. He's such a jerk in the movie, though. But, you know, in real life, he's a nice guy. I mean, come on.
Well, in the meet and greet, he is, too.
Right.
Do you have any hidden talents? I think a lot of your talent is drawn in front of us.
Hidden talents. Yeah, I just discovered that I can grow tropical flowers like nobody's business. Since I've moved here to Florida, I grow these Hawaiian plumeria flowers, and they're the flowers that Hawaiians use for leis, you know, the lei necklaces.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I started growing them 2 years ago when I moved here to the island, and yeah, they're growing mad. I've got all kinds of them, and my neighbors, nobody can grow them, and mine are like crazy good. So apparently I have a green thumb for Hawaiian plumeria.
There you go. If the art thing doesn't work out, you can always, you know, make Hawaiian lace.
That's right.
Yeah, I see it now. Kevin John Hawaiian lace stand, like out on the end of your driveway.
Right.
Well, if you don't like the lace, I have some art I can sell you. Either one, art, lay, which one?
The
Left hand, right
drawing
hand?
thing ever doesn't work out, when, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Something most people don't know about you is?
I'm a gym rat. I love to lift weights.
Oh, okay. And the last question is, your favorite Disney snack is?
Disney snack?
Snack. Popcorn, pretzel.
Oh, you know what they are? It's those over in Adventureland, those hot nuts the glazed almonds that they sell. Oh,
yeah.
forget about it. That's Kevin John. Every time I'm in that park, I wait till it gets cool in the evening, head right over there, grab those, munch on those while I'm riding Pirates of the Caribbean. Yep, that's Kevin John right there.
Now, I love it.
It's interesting because my joke is that they really don't sell those nuts. They're just piping in the smell.
Isn't it true, though, right?
Because it's the smell that's
so
addictive.
Good.
Yeah. I never even knew they really sold the nuts. I just thought they piped in that smell.
Yeah. They're so good.
Well, Kevin, it's always a pleasure to have you on and speak to you. And I'm looking forward to, seeing you in June now, the end of June.
Thank you. This has really been amazing for me to talk to you guys and your fans and your followers, and I can't wait to meet everybody on Saturday the 28th of June at the signing event, and I know you guys are putting together a little meet and greet to come on over and say hello, and I'm excited for that, and I just can't wait, and more stuff to come, and I can't thank you enough for having me on.
No, thank you, because you're doing some great stuff, and I am sure this is only the beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg.
Thank you. Let's do this again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Kevin.
The Disney Parks Podcast is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. All Disney parks, attractions, lands, shows, event names, etc. are registered trademarks of the Walt Disney Company.
Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Hidden Gem Productions. If you're in need of audio services or voice talent, contact Hidden Gem Productions. Our professional team will provide fast, custom audio services and talent at a reasonable price. Our goal is to completely satisfy your audio needs and exceed your expectations. No project is too small. For more information, audio samples, and a list of services provided, head to www.hiddengemproductions.com today.